All right, good morning, everybody. I'm already seeing people joining us and some thumbs up. It's a gray day outside, rainy and kind of cool, so we've opted to be inside. We are once again, for folks that have joined us before, we are inside our Rainforest Rivers and Reefs building where it's nice and warm. And I'm just going to wait one more second, give a few more people to jump on. Good morning, Norma. Happy to see you. So we are here for another one of our virtual keeper chats. Sagan from Wareham is here. That's awesome. Okay, so we've got folks jumping on board, and so we're going to get going. We are, as I said before, here at the Buttonwood Park Zoo in New Bedford, Massachusetts. We are inside our Rainforest Rivers and Reefs building. Today we're going to be taking a look at some animals that are kept in our Peru exhibit. So I'm going to pan in, and we're going to be under the water today. And so a quick introduction. I'm going to introduce you to Kerry, who is one of our keepers here in the rainforest, and she's going to be talking to us today about these critters, and I'm just going to turn it right over to her.
So good morning, everyone. Here we have our two Mata turtles. This turtle his name is Marty, and the other one is Morty. Today we're going to be feeding these guys. These guys are carnivores, so out in the wild they do eat mainly fish, but they also will take some invertebrates and amphibians. This is Bruce's first time feeding them, so we'll give him a little bit of leeway. But so again, these guys actually have a really cool way of capturing their prey. So these guys are suction feeders or vacuum feeders. So once we get the fish upright for Marty here, you'll be able to see that all Marty does is he'll go right up to the fish and he'll open his mouth really fast and suck that fish in. Once he's got that fish in, he closes his jaws, he expels all the water, and he'll swallow that fish whole.
Right, so he is sort of headed out.
Yeah,
so let's see if we can find...
Morty is over here on the other side. Both of these turtles come to us from the Detroit Zoo in Michigan. We're not sure of their exact ages, but we know that they are over 10 years old.
It looks like Marty's going to make another go.
Marty will get the fish this time. There we go.
All right, so he's able to suck that right in.
Yeah. So these guys are actually pretty big turtles. Our turtles probably measure carapace length about 14 inches and weigh about 13 to 14 pounds, but out in the wild they can get much bigger than that. They can grow up to 18 inches and 30 pounds. Bruce, you can drop it. We'll see if he sucks that up.
So a lot of interesting, everybody's shouting out saying hello. We have a lot of people joining us. Diana's saying that he's kind of scary looking. He really does have a neat looking head.
Yeah, actually their head, neck, and carapace are all uniquely designed to enable them to camouflage into their surroundings. So these guys like to and prefer to stay on the bottom of their habitat where there's a lot of like fallen logs or loose leaf litter. So all of these little bumps and folds and whatnot are really going to help them camouflage into their surroundings. But also all these little folds and bumps around their neck and head actually enable them to feel motion in the water.
So who just stole his fish? We see, I see another couple of animals coming up.
We do have some orange spotted freshwater rays who actually do like the trout that we are feeding the Matamatas.
They are really pretty. So they share the same tank with these two guys. Does he have teeth? Michaela is wondering.
Great question. Turtles don't have teeth, so these guys don't chew their food. They might grab it like you saw before, but again, these guys are suction feeders, so they're gonna suck their food right in. So turtles do not have teeth.
And why are they called Mata Mata?
That's a good question. There's a few different the translation of mata mata means to kill, so it could be because they're just voracious eaters. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah. And here we go. We got another fish down there. Let's see if he makes his way forward to eat that. Oh, thank you, Gary. Gary just donated. For those of you that are joining us, we do have a donate button, and we so appreciate your support during these times when we can't have our visitors coming through the gates. The money that you donate goes to the Zoological Society, which helps us to keep this sort of programming going, our live programs as well as our virtual. Alyssa is wondering, are they part of the snapping turtle?
They're actually
family?
Not part of the snapping turtle family. They are the side-necked or snake-necked turtle family.
Okay, and Ryan, age 12, wants to know, can they walk on land?
These guys, they can walk on land. The females will come out during egg-laying season, so they do have to walk and excavate nests at that time of year, but most of the time they stay mainly in the water. And that's actually a good question, because even though these guys are aquatic turtles, they can swim, but they prefer, as you're watching Marty move around, to walk on the bottom of whatever water they're in.
So, Trinity, age 7, wants to know, does he breathe through his mouth or back end? So,
that's a good question. Actually, if maybe Shara can get a really good look at their snout there. They have a tube-like snout, which acts as a little snorkel, which is one of their adaptations to the environment that they live in. So these guys prefer to live in really shallow water. So to minimize any kind of movement or motion, these guys can extend their heads up, and that little tiny tube or that little snorkel at the tip of their nose is what they use to breathe air out the water. So they do breathe air through that snorkel.
how long can they hold their breath?
That's a good question. I really have a tough time finding an answer to. I know I've seen our guys, if they're non-active, can be underwater for hours.
Sage, age 6, is asking, why is he so slow?
So these guys, when they're looking for food, these guys are ambush predators, so they don't move that fast to begin with when they're hunting. So what they'll do is they'll really try and remain motionless and camouflage for their surroundings and wait for their prey to actually swim by them. So, you know, he doesn't really have to move around slow. If something scared or frightened him, he'd be much faster than that.
So Annie and Harper want to know, why don't they go after the other fish that are in the tank?
We really do keep them very well fed. I think I've seen maybe once them take one of our fish tanks, one of our fish in our fish tanks. I haven't seen it very often, but it doesn't mean that they can't.
He is really moving around a lot. All right, so Joy just joined us and wanted to know, these guys are so cool looking. What are they?
These are mata mata turtles. They live in South America. They inhabit really shallow, slow-moving streams, rivers, marshes of South America.
So Stasia, age 5, is asking, can they jump?
I would say, I mean, if you're talking about, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah. And what are some of their predators? Serenity Love, age 8, wants to know. What are some things that would go after them?
You know, when they're hatchlings and they're just first hatching out, like a lot of animals, maybe some birds, even some fish might eat them. As they get a little bit bigger, you know, you have some snakes and some caiman that might eat them. But I would say mostly one of their threats is they're actually caught for the petri. So that will help bring their populations down, as well as deforestation and loss of habitat.
So Chase, age 5, if I can get a good look at his shell again, is asking why his shell is so spiky.
That's a great question. So these guys do have 3 ridges of the pyramidal scutes. And so these scutes, all those bumpy ridges
Hiding
and the
from
colors,
us.
I think he went left.
Oh, here he comes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
He's keeping me on my toes here.
So the bumpiness of it and the color of it really, if you think about it, looks like tree bark. So it's really going to help them camouflage in their surroundings.
Michaela is asking, how old are they?
So we don't know the specific age of our turtles. We know that they're over 10. If I had to guess, I would say that maybe they're 15.
Okay, and let's see. Sage, age 6, was asking where they live, and you said the Amazon?
Yep, so these guys live in the northern part of South America, so you can find them in countries like Colombia, Brazil, Peru, Bolivia. and they really do like to live in really slow-moving water systems like streams or marshes, and they really do like a muddy, dirty bottom.
And so Logan, who's joining us again, age 8, is asking his favorite question to ask. Do they have a favorite keeper?
These guys, I would say, do not have a favorite keeper. I think if whoever has that nice fish that we're feeding them is probably their favorite for that 5 minutes, and that is that.
Okay. Ryan, age 12, is asking what their lifespan is. How long do they live?
That's actually a really good question. So there's not a lot of research on these guys. We don't know a lot about their populations out in the wild. Their age span also, we're not really sure about out in the wild. They probably can live somewhere between 20 to 40 years. They can live a long time. We're not quite sure.
All right, let's see if I can get a close-up of his head right here. He's looking around. So Annie and Harper wanted to know if they live in cold or warm water. Their guess is warm water. Are they right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. They do live in the tropical waters of the Amazon. And we here keep our fish tanks, all our tropical fish tanks, probably in the high 70s. So maybe about 75 to 78 degrees.
Okay. Sagan wanted to know if they're really hungry. We've seen this guy eat 2 or 3 fish. How often do you feed them, and how much?
Feed them, it really all depends on the size of fish I'm feeding them. The size of the trout that we've been feeding them now, probably get them about 3 or 4 of those. And we only feed them 3 times a week. They don't need to eat every day.
And in the wild, how often would they be eating?
I mean, they're not going to get their food delivered to them in the wild, so they're probably eating on a daily basis, because remember that they have to actually hunt for their food or ambush their food. So.
And this is trout that you're feeding them?
Yep, so we do feed them a few different types of fish. Today it happens to be trout, but we'll also feed them some capelin and smelts.
And I agree with you, Michaela. They are really cool. These are some of the most interesting looking turtles I've seen. Do they have a favorite kind of food that we feed?
I mean, they do really like the trout. Not really. They like the variety that we give them. I would say probably the bigger fish we feed them, so maybe the trout and the capelin.
Okay, that was the next question. What else does he eat? Karen was wondering.
So here at the zoo, we feed them trout, capelin, and smelt. Out in the wild, it's mainly fish that they're going to eat, but they will also take some invertebrates or some amphibians that happen to be across their path.
And Diana is wanting to know why one is staying so still.
I haven't woken him up yet. Sometimes it takes a little bit. If I go in there and just give him a little tap and wake him up, he'll probably start moving around as well. Okay. Remember that these guys are pretty sedentary animals. They're not super duper active to begin with.
Oh, thank you, Haley, for donating. And Annie and Harper are asking if this species is endangered?
So it actually is not listed at the moment. We really don't know what their population is out in the wild, but as of right now, it's not listed as anything.
And is there any, so he's got a little bit of pink under his chin. Is there any meaning to that, or is this
So actually, a lot of the younger turtles, the hatchlings and the juveniles, or the ones that are a lot smaller, have a lot more pink than that. So that's just their natural coloration. As they get bigger, they lose that salmon color.
Can you tell the males from the females?
You can. Like most aquatic turtles, you have to look at the underside of their shell, which is their plastron. For males, the plastrons tend to be a bit concave, which means that they're kind of pointing inward. Also, if you look at the tails of the males' tails seem to be a little bit longer, a little bit thicker, and that vent or the opening on the tail is further back away from the shell than a female would be.
So Annie and Harper are saying, are their feet different than other turtles? They look a little strange. They look different.
I mean, these guys do have webbed feet. I wouldn't say they're super different from other aquatic turtles. It really depends on the species, but nope, I would say they do have some webbed feet when they have 5 digits on each foot. And I would say that it's pretty normal for an aquatic turtle.
And DJ age 8 is asking how tall they get. So I guess really when you're talking about turtles, you're talking about length from, well, you can take different measurements, like their shell size. How big do these guys get?
Yep, so they get up to 18 to 20 inches, and that's the size of their shell from top to bottom. Our guys, I would estimate, measure about 14 inches. And they weigh about 13, 14 pounds, but turtles that grow a lot bigger than that can reach up to 30 pounds.
Wow. And Cindy, I think, joined us a little late, wanted to know where did Buttonwood get them from?
So we got our 2 turtles from the Detroit Zoo in Michigan. The reason why we don't really know their age is because they were donated to the Detroit Zoo from the SPCA in Texas. So maybe someone had them a pet and they couldn't take care of them anymore because they got too big, and gave them to SPCA and then gave them to the zoo.
Great. And Stasia is wondering, do they go on land at all?
They very rarely go on land. Our guys don't go on land. The turtles that are going to go out on land are probably the females who need to go out to lay their eggs.
All right. So Karen is wanting to know where his mouth is. If he swims back by, he's sort of making the rounds at an area where really can't see them.
Very, very wide mouth, and it looks like they have a smile. So they're really actually kind of cute if you look at their face.
See if he went to the back corner.
Yeah, maybe
so
Bruce, maybe you can see if Morty wants to wake up. Just kind of tap him a little.
And while we're doing that, oh, thank you, Lori, so much for donating. Erica is asking, do they play?
I would say no. They don't play. These guys are solitary animals. So I would say no.
So normally they're just kind of hanging out waiting for food to
Here comes
happen by them. Okay, let's see if I can get a good look at Morty's mouth. Marty, sorry. As he's going by, so you can see that long nose and sort of under his eye there's his mouth.
Get over here. You can kind of see the big smile I was talking about. There it is.
Oh, there you go. There's a great shot of it. He does look like he's smiling. What are those little things kind of protruding like under his mouth?
So those are barbels. So these guys have lots of little protrusions all around. So you see them under their chin, on their neck, even these skin flaps everywhere. So these are going to help the turtle detect motion in the water.
Okay, so it helps with finding food. Miguel wanted to know what this guy's weight was.
Marty's a little bit bigger than Morty. He weighs about 14 pounds.
And so are they both boys?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Miguel is joining us from Washington. That's awesome. I'm just scrolling back through to make sure. Erica is asking, how fast can they swim?
That's a good question. These guys aren't great swimmers, and they prefer to actually walk on the bottom like Marty was doing versus swimming. If they got scared, would they swim pretty fast? Yes, but I wouldn't know the exact speed.
So he's trying to actually get over a branch. Let's see. So now he's just kind of hanging out on that branch. So they really kind of are slow movers. Oh. He's very slowly making his way over. I'm going to see if I can get underneath him so you can see. Well, now he's moved, but his underside is a very different color than the top of his shell. It's all one solid light color. So, would a turtle this size have many predators at this point?
Probably not. I think once they get with most turtles, once they get to a size, the amount of predators they have are less. So for these guys out in the wild, their probably biggest threat is maybe A, being caught for the pet trade, or B, just loss of habitat.
And are there things that we can do to help protect these guys?
Just support conservation programs that really preserve habitat.
Okay. And Carrie was asking what the other Cindy was asking what is the other turtle's name. So this one is Marty.
Mm-hmm. And the other one is Morty.
Morty. Okay.
Named by our wonderful volunteer coordinator, Heather.
Yep. And a big shout out to Heather. I know these are her favorites. Erica says, I really like them. Yeah, they really are a cool, and I've never spent so long actually focusing on them to get this close, because a lot of times they aren't out, or like you said, they're kind of resting at the bottom when we come through. Where do they lay eggs?
So they actually do lay their eggs quite close to the water that they live in, but they do haul out, and they'll move and they'll excavate a nest.
And how many eggs do they typically
12 to 28 eggs.
12 to 28.
That are about 3.5 centimeters in size. They're round. They have a brittle shell, and they have to incubate for about 200 days.
200 days. Ooh, that's a long time.
They do usually lay. Nesting season for these guys is October to December.
So now you're getting a really good look of him resting on the bottom, and you can see how it kind of blends in quite a bit. So, do these guys hibernate at all? I know some turtles sort of hunker down.
I did not see anything in the literature that they said that they do. I wouldn't think that they would, just
because the water is warmer.
Right.
Michaela's saying she likes them. Yep, we really like them too. All right, I'm scrolling through the questions, just making sure that I did not miss any, and he's being really nice and holding still for us. Oh, Birdie age 8 wants to know why their legs look like fins.
So they do have webbed feet, which is what you're probably seeing. And that's because they do spend most of the time in the water. So having those webbed toes or webbed feet will just help them when they're swimming and moving around.
Oh, he's opening his mouth for us. Just making sure I'm not missing. Oh, is Morty waking up?
I think Marty just woke him up.
Yeah. Oh, he's poking his head out. So for the person that wanted to know why he was so still, he was definitely taking a little nap, and he looks like he's going to move around now. So let's see if I can get a shot of him getting some food. Oh, thank you, Heather. Heather donated for us. She loves these guys. A huge shout out to her. Oh, wow. Okay. So he's moving along. How much time would you say they spend just sort of hanging out at the bottom of the tank, not doing much? Obviously, you had to kind of wake one of them up to eat.
Yeah, I mean, again, these guys are just pretty sedentary themselves. So I would say they spend a lot of time just hanging out. They're not super active.
So I'm kind of backing up a little bit so you can see the two of them together, which is pretty neat. And they are definitely both moving around now. And you said one of the ways to tell the males was the tail. I'm getting a good shot right now of his tail.
So it's really the size of the tail and the vent on the tail. The vent is that opening at the underside of the tail. On males, that vent is further away from the carapace or the shell, where in females it's closer to.
Very cool. And look, he's going. You heading back to your spot, or are you heading for this fish over here? Chloe H9 wants to know why their head is shaped the way it is.
That is a great question. So it's a few different reasons. One is it has this nice triangular shape with all these flaps, so it aids in camouflage. It might look like a leaf out in the wild. Another is it's nice and flat and streamlined, so that when it is ambushing its prey, it doesn't create a big pressure wave that would signal the fish to run away.
And let's see. It looks like he's thinking about whether or not to take that fish. Just gonna zoom in a little bit more. See if you can get the action shot of him sucking the fish right in. He said, nope. What are some of the other fish we're seeing in there? There's a really pretty one that's sort of going back and forth.
So all of the fish that they live with are from South America as well. So these are lots of tetras that you would find actually in your pet store. So the sparkly ones are diamond tetras. These are really pretty.
Oh yeah, the light catches them and they really shimmer.
And then over there we have some red and blue Colombian tetras. Which are pretty as well.
Looks like he is done eating and he's going to make his way over to that spot as well. So I don't see any questions that we've missed. Diana's saying not too hungry. Yeah, I think he'd rather go back and take a turtle nap. So if there are no further questions, I'm going to thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you to Bruce, who was our turtle wrangler today, and Kerry, our Rainforest Rivers and Reefs keeper. Thank you to Marty and Morty. And we hope to see you. Bev says, love your camera work. I don't know about that, but I'm going to thank you for joining us today. Again, if you like our virtual chats, it's every day at 11. One quick last question. Karen wanted to know, how long do they sleep? And that's pretty much a good portion of the day when they're not eating and sort of moving around. So once again, goodbye from the Buttonwood Park Zoo. We hope to see you again soon. Hope everybody keeps safe and keeps coming back to visit with us virtually.